Hi guys, and welcome to the latest episode of What's the Matter, the official Mindspan podcast. In today's episode, my dad and I are going to be discussing time and whether or not we're really living this with true value. Thank you so much for listening, and I really hope you enjoy the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to What's the Matter. You are joined by me, Drake, and my fabulous co-host, Gavin Drake, or more commonly known as, or more ever-growingly known as, Mr. Dad. Hey Dad.
Ever-growingly known as. What an amazing little phrase. Yeah, I like that.
Well,
Morning, Em. Or hi, Em.
You okay?
Yeah, really good, actually. Thank you. In these very strange times, we've obviously been really active, lots of business and life stuff going on. So, actually, had been a little bit of a delay to this podcast, hasn't there?
I know there has. Well, interestingly, we're actually discussing time today, but it's something that we have been busy with, and well, we're going to be covering actually just quite how it is such a finite resource, and we don't have, endless amounts of it, which has proven why this is a little delayed in coming to everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. So as I say, today we're kind of talking about time, the value of it, how we spend it, and instead of just being, obviously, we are a kind of psychology based sort of channel and sort of content creation, but we're actually going to get a little philosophical today, aren't we? Rather than psychological, it will have a psychology twist, but we're getting deep and meaningful. I'm sure Aristotle and Socrates will be looking down on us fondly at the moment.
Yeah,
with just how deep
with pride.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, the reason we kind of wanted to talk about this is just that time is so important. A lot of people pay lip service to this and say, yeah, I know time's important, really value it, and they've got fridge magnets that might say that as well. But whether they actually really live like it is, that's sort of where we want to talk about today, and especially with what's going on in the world at the moment. However, this isn't just prevalent for COVID. This always stands what we're going to talk about today. But yeah, just how are we really looking at time at the moment? And I mean, just handing it to you, I mean, I know you obviously had some quite difficult early childhood experiences that really honed in this message to you of the importance of time, which I know we have touched on, but I just kind of want to hand that over to you with sort of losing your mum at 12, kind of how you sort of took that in reference to time.
Yeah, and again, obviously, it's not unique to me, is it? Or lots of people have big life experiences at different times of their life. But I think because I experienced suddenly, we didn't know it was going to happen. It was almost just occurred on a day. Losing my mother when I was 12 and my sister was 8. Mother was 37. That's to go at 37 is
that's really young.
Sad. Really, really sad. Really, really tragic. And that's a very young life. And if you look at the average life expectancy and it varies around the world, but for us in more Western culture and in the UK, I think at my last check, and I didn't add this up myself, it's just looking at data. I think our average life expectancy in the UK is just above 80 years.
Yeah.
It's the low 80s. It's slightly higher for women than it is men. That's a whole different podcast as to why that might be the case. But yeah, I think that young experience, or when I was very young and that happened, and I didn't know at the time and make a conscious decision about this, but increasingly as I've gone through my life, I just realized the value of time more and more and more. And time is just another word for life, really, isn't it?
Yep.
But like you were just saying, I think quite a lot of people paid lip service to that. I hear lots of people, I'm sure you do it too, Em. It's just, yeah, life's valuable, time's really valuable, but then they don't behave like it is.
Yeah.
They really don't behave like it is.
Exactly, and sort of almost wishing it away, or not really thinking. I mean, an analogy that we sort of talk about, isn't it? Is sort of, so you have 1,440 minutes in a day, any given day. It's sort of how are we kind of spending that, and are we waking up consciously thinking, wow, I've got 1,440 minutes today, what am I going to do? Because we kind of always talk about people getting on the hamster wheel of life and just kind of spinning round and round until it's Friday and living for the weekend, really. Or
traditionally in pre-pandemic, but people have got other many other variations of challenge at the minute. There's a heck of a lot of homeschooling going on, certainly around the UK, because the schools are shut. That's playing sort of havoc with many people's day-to-day routine. Parents, I know parents who are like putting so much effort and energy into homeschooling that all the other life house stuff going on at the minute is falling by the wayside. So there's a lot of perceived and real pressures around what we can be doing, should be doing, etc., which is again probably another massive discussion point on another podcast about what we're doing and why we're doing it. But for the purposes of today's time thing, it isn't uncommon, even in the current circumstances, where we're being reminded almost every day around, sadly, people that are losing their life to COVID, and other conditions as well too, obviously, of course. But we've got probably an extra focus on it, on loss of life at the minute. But still, whilst that's tragic and traumatic and sad, obviously, I still sort of see people who just don't join up the
dots.
They're seeing that, and yet they don't value their time near as much as they could or should, or that would be healthy. And I often ask people when we're working with them, and I know you do too, just questions like, and these are questions for the listeners and watchers really on the podcast, so you don't need to shout out your answers necessarily, but just be really, really honest with yourself. Whether it's now or any other time in life, do you ever, if you're really honest, just let time pass you by sometime? Do you ever, if you're really honest with yourself, ever waste it?
Yeah.
Do you ever, if you're really honest with yourself, wish it away?
Yeah.
We're wishing for later. And as you said, we have this gift, for want of another term, of 1,440 minutes in every day. But do we wake up in the morning like we've been given that gift?
Yeah.
And because that's an attitude. If you don't, or you do, it's all about your attitude to time and the way that you think about it. So I think because of that experience a long time ago, I've just, one way, shape or form, deepened within myself increasingly as I get older as well too. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll treat it as a gift.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean throughout the day I'm always on it and I'm busy and doing shed loads of things. It just means whatever you're doing, are you sort of doing it to the best of your ability? That could be relaxing. That could be doing yoga. It could be meditating. It could be spending time with your kids. It could be on a walk. It could be doing some good work. It could, whatever.
Yeah.
Are we treating time? Are we behaving like we know time is valuable?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think obviously it's helped you kind of raising me in that I know you told me a lot when I was younger about this.
Did I?
You might have gone on a few times about time is important. But I would say, until I really made the conscious decision to come and start working in this field, in this area, like actually that point of living like it's important, not just saying I get it, but actually living like it's really important. I even make time to be bored, which I know sounds weird, but I read such an interesting book about the importance of being bored and actually how healthy that can be. Not spending your whole day being bored, but if you're filling your day with so much stuff, it can be quite hard to, because we can only really have one conscious thought at any one time. You can't be heavily focusing on the task you're doing and subsequently thinking about
15 other things.
So I actually try and factor in time in my day to just almost not think, but just rest, just to be, because I know that that's important with my time, to actually just sit there and think, these next 15 minutes I'm just really going to spend these with myself. And I mean, as you say about really living it, it's like the sort of the analogy we've given about that 1,440 minutes each day is, if we were to wake up and at the end, we're saying being given that as a gift, but actually an analogy is thinking about that as money. So waking up each day with 1,440 pounds at the end of your bed, or dollars, or wherever you are in the world, but waking up with that at the end of your bed, you've got that for the day. People would have a very different reaction. But the thing is, this resource is, well, they would actually be consciously choosing how to spend that, even though they're doing that with life, but they don't think they are.
Yeah. Well, I think if just to expand upon that analogy, if people do the lottery and all sorts of other ways, not everybody, but lots of people do, and that's like their ultimate dream would be to win because they think it's going to sort everything out in life, which sorts some things out, doesn't sort everything out.
Yeah.
But if someone won that in a prize, won a prize where for the rest of their life, every morning when they woke up, there was the gift of £1,440 or dollars or the equivalent in another currency at the end of the bed every day. So whatever they're doing, there's always that there every day. Most people will be thinking, wow, that is amazing. I've got nearly 1,500 quid or dollars or whatever every day without doing anything for it. I just get given it. Wow, that's sorted my life out. They'd be excited about that, most people. They'd be motivated by that. They'd do stuff with that, probably. Time is actually more valuable than money. So can I just run a couple of things past you and the listeners around just how can we value time more than anything else, really, ultimately? Because I think that's important. And what I mean by that is, and this is obviously a bit deep and a bit sad what I'm going to share, but if I just use this for myself as an example, if I owned a £250,000 bright red shiny Ferrari, I don't, but if I owned one and that was in my driveway or in my
Is that what you're expecting for Christmas? Because I just tell you now, you might be mildly disappointed.
Yeah. But if I owned one, but tragically, I wasn't given my minutes today because something happened to me overnight. Is that Ferrari of any use to me now whatsoever? Well, it is because I'm not here. Yeah. If I owned, I don't know, a 20-bedroom country mansion and a estate with 100 acres and beautiful place, but again I wasn't given those minutes today, then of course that country estate and mansion is of no use to me whatsoever because I'm not here. I can't enjoy it. And again, if I had millions of pounds in my bank account, and I haven't, although like lots of people, we're all working on our stuff, but if I had all those millions of pounds in my bank account, but again I wasn't given my 1,440 minutes or my time today, then of course that money is of no use to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
So with thinking about time in those contexts, time is more valuable than money. It's more valuable than a big flash house or wherever you're living. It's more valuable than a 5 cars in your driveway or whatever. I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm just, we're all working out our standard of living in our own way. So it's not an anti-materialism speech. It's just getting things in the right order.
Yeah.
In our head, time is more precious. It is more valuable than any of that stuff. And if we were waking up with that thought every day, wow, brilliant, I've been given some minutes. And the thing is, when you wake up, a quarter to a third of those minutes have already gone because you've been asleep, through the night. So maybe one of the first thoughts we could have, driven by some philosophical discussion, but still a bit psychology at the end of the day, is just to think about how fortunate or lucky or whatever word you want to use that I've been given another day.
Yeah.
And do something with it. And as you said, that doesn't mean you need to be doing things all day, every day and maxing out and knackering yourself, if that makes sense. It just means just start living slightly differently or very differently by treating time as precious. Because if we value time, if you value anything in life, we look after it.
Yeah.
We nurture it. We'll invest it more wisely. Let's have that approach to time.
Yeah. No, exactly. And not just because often a huge catalyst for people with really starting to value time is a big life event. Like you obviously had it with your mum. I think when your dad passed, so granddad, I was obviously 11, and not that we're going to get really deep on this, but he had a very aggressive form of motor neuron disease, didn't he? So in a matter of months, watching him disintegrate or just kind of
certainly deteriorate
and sort of just keep getting smaller. No, but he was getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, he was
smaller and smaller, and couldn't even do something as simple as switch a kettle on or walk to another room. And watching that at 11, I think that was a very big thing for me to think. I'm not meaning to sound really cheesy here, but I feel really lucky that I can move my body. I truly feel really lucky that for some things that are so small in life, but just it all relates back to time and being how can we spend it, and not waiting for that big, not waiting till you lose somebody or potentially your time is about to run out before you think that.
And just on that front, brilliant, you've prompted me again, so thank you for doing that. But sadly, when do most people in their life realize the value of something?
Yeah, it's when it's gone or
When
going
they've
to
been
go.
told it's on the way out or it's gone.
Yeah.
And I just think, and I know you do too, what a waste that is.
Yeah, I know.
What could happen for us in our lives if we didn't wait till something's gone before we place value upon it? If we place value upon it when we have it. Because when we have it, if we place value upon something, as I said a little while ago, you know, you feel privileged, and you'll do much more with it, much more with it. And when you talk about, obviously, my dad, your granddad, you know, he was a builder most of his life, so he was a sort of a physically strong man.
Yeah, he was.
And yeah, then this awful condition. He was hit by this awful condition, and you sort of realize, again, without over egging it, just how fragile we're sort of resilient and tough in some respects as a species, but it's all quite fragile, isn't it, as well, too, without getting depressing about it. And why, you know, we have this propensity, certainly in some parts of the world that we live in, just to, I don't know, we don't realize how fortunate we are, and being given this gift. And I think we should call it a gift, actually. I like the way you use that phraseology today. You know, it's even in lockdown, even in pandemic, you know, with difficult challenges for people, most of us, we're still being given the gift every day.
Yeah, but the thing with time, though, that's different. I know we've related it to money just for sort of an analogy, but the difference with time is it gets spent regardless. So you know, money, I can perhaps not touch my bank, you know, or buy anything. Time is gonna go. You can't press pause on the ticking hand. It's just gonna go.
What's that second hand? It's just ticking by, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to charge that, Garmin. I can't see the screen.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But it's
get hold of the second hand and say, can I just pause this just to think about stuff for a little while? No, it's going to tick, whatever.
It's going to go. It's going to go. It's sort of, it's finite, and that's why that's one of the other reasons that it is our most precious resource, because we cannot control time. We can control how we value it, how we spend it. And yeah, as you say, you can't just say, do you know what, I'm going to pause this year just while I'll let COVID happen, and I'm just going to pause my time. You can't do that. It's going to go anyway. The days are going. So
2020 is over.
Exactly. 2020's gone, and it went very slowly but very quickly all at the same time.
I know. We are, you know, certainly at the point of doing this podcast, you know, it's February 21.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And just, again, I know I said it's different to money, but just to bring that kind of analogy in with how are we spending it. Yeah, obviously this is just an analogy, but if with that gift of $1,440 or pounds that you had every single morning, if you took that and you went and gambled it, because if we're assuming lifetime we have to spend it, if you gambled it, if you went and bought loads of junk food and drugs and alcohol, if assuming that's an analogy for life's less than helpful things, could even almost be like stress. You're almost buying stress, you're buying anxiety, you're buying anger. If you buy all of those things, invest that money or time in that way, you're devaluing what you've got. So it's like looking at how much, whilst we can't buy more time, we can do things that might actually prolong our time. So looking at like, so yeah, as I say, you can't buy more, but if I invest my time in healthy ways, putting my mental well-being first by letting myself be bored and taking it slow sometimes, look at, you know, investing in self-care, putting myself with people that really bring me joy and doing the things I really love. If you spend your time that way, living a much happier and healthier life, yeah, you can't stop that a pandemic's coming, but you are actually giving yourself a bigger chance for having more time.
And I think the point we're probably trying to get across is, first and foremost, this is just encouraging people, because we're not here to tell people what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Just erase some stuff and bring things to the front of people's minds. Is firstly is to really challenge ourselves to raise, increase or raise the value we place upon time.
Yeah.
Just to maybe, you know, it's one way of look at it as a gift, you know, and once you raise the value you place upon time, hopefully a byproduct of this, you are much more careful and thoughtful how you spend it, which is the point you're making. You know, are we spending on negative, destructive stuff, or in negative, destructive ways, or realizing the value of time? Are we spending it and investing it wisely?
Yeah.
And one of there's a little key message we use in a lot of our programs, which goes something like this, and it is like, time is our most precious and valuable resource. Just spend it in the most worthwhile ways for you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what's worthwhile for one person can be very different to what's worthwhile for someone else. But I guess our positive challenge is healthily. Spend it healthily. It doesn't mean we all need to be into fitness, or we all need to be doing yoga, we need to be doing meditation. Just means, it could be, if you're going to spend quality time with your kids, your children, for those 2 or 3 hours, you really spend it with them.
Yeah. Not
just physically, but mentally thinking about something else or other problems or issues. Just really be present with them. Really spend it, and the attention you're giving that activity with your children probably will enhance the interaction. Probably will enhance the experience for you and them. And then you can reflect on that as 3 hours. Like, wow, I spent my time so wisely.
Yeah, exactly.
In a very worthwhile way. No,
100%. And whilst it's obviously important to think about the future, and if your mind was ever going to another place, the only moment you do really have is now. The ones that have gone. So festering about them,
the future ones aren't here yet.
Yeah, so festering about things that have happened won't change. It won't change. Well, it might change your future, but not maybe for the best, because you might be worried and stressed and stuff. So if you're with someone, whatever you're doing, I highly encourage you to just be there, and because that moment will be gone in a second, and then another second. The start of this podcast is gone.
I know. And I love doing these. This is really time well spent, isn't it, for you and I? Whether the world out there really enjoys them or likes them is another matter. You and I enjoy them.
Yeah, we like them.
But I was running a responsibility session on responsibility. I've actually done quite a few of those the last 2 weeks. It's a quirky thing. And obviously, when we talk about responsibility, it's quite a brain stretching concept. And one of the phrases we often use in that responsibility session is to obviously take responsibility for who you are and what you're doing, and etc. But whatever you're doing, whatever we are doing at any particular moment, do it with good grace and commitment.
Yeah.
And if we can really value time more than we often do, just challenge ourselves to do that. Think more carefully about how we're spending it, and however we're choosing to spend it, whatever we're doing, do that thing, whatever that thing is, with good grace. So don't moan, whinge, complain, or bitch about it. Just do it with good grace and commit to it.
Yeah.
And sort of philosophically, that should mean we make the most of life.
Yeah, exactly. No, definitely. I mean, we could probably talk about this for a very long time, because we were talking about it before we even came on here.
Yeah, we started this podcast at 6 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, we've been on here for 24 hours, actually.
Good way of spending our time, though. Yeah.
Yeah, we have been spending our time, and I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But I guess it's probably because we don't want to make these too long, but probably a good point to kind of end around here, just in honing that message of, if you've listened to this, firstly, thank you, but really, really think about how you're spending your time. Are you wishing it away? Do
you waste it?
And
pass you by?
If you do, it just because that's happened in the past doesn't mean it has to affect today or tomorrow or the day after that. Just let this be the moment that you sort of really realize that. Have an epiphany.
Yeah, and don't, again, I guess on that theme, let's not wait for life tragedy and trauma when we experience that to remind us or be the catalyst or trigger to start valuing time. Do it today.
Okay.
Don't wait until you're given 6 months to live to suddenly realize how important life is. Why don't we all leave this podcast today and just realize that, and then start reminding ourselves every morning of the gift, and to start living like we value time, behaving like we value time, rather than just acknowledging it mentally every now and again.
Yeah, no, definitely. But thank you so much for your time this morning, Dad. And
thanks for your time.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I've got her. I'm not sure. I was going to try and do the quick maths on how many minutes were left for today, but I shan't do that. I shan't waste my time doing that. I'm going to just live the minutes. But thank you for your time. And we'll be back again sort of in 2 weeks. And I was just going to say, for anyone that is anyone interested, any of our OG fans out there that have been following us since day one, we are going to be we're going to be having our podcast every other week, and in between that we are actually now going to start launching some YouTube content, aren't we, to kind of fill the gap. So hopefully we'll be kind of bringing you all great stuff.
Yeah, more and more interesting, hopefully interesting content. Something I was thinking about when I was in the shower the other day.
Oh goodness.
I know.
You know we're still recording, right?
True. Is our listenership and watchership, I don't know if that's a word actually, is going up, which is lovely, and we've had 1 or 2 acknowledgements from the platforms, haven't we? Which is really great. So thank you for listening and watching, those that do. It'd be really interesting to get some feedback from people around which bits, what you're valuing, what's useful to you, any particular areas that you might want us to sort of contemplate and discuss that you'd find helpful.
We would love feedback like that. So anyone would love to give us some their feedback and their hints and tips, maybe, that would be awesome. But yeah, thank you again, Dad, and
Pleasure.
thank you everyone for listening, and we'll be back very soon.
Look forward to it.
So that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of What's the Matter. If you enjoyed today's content, please remember to like and subscribe. We really, really appreciate it. My dad and I are going to be back again in another 2 weeks with a brand new episode. In the meantime, have a wonderful day.